You
Okay.
see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So we'll start, sir. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Welcome to our special lecture series, Day 2. So it's a pleasure to have you all join us today. We are excited to bring together such a diverse group of participants for what promises to be an enriching and thought-provoking experience. Over the courses of this series, we'll be exploring today plant polyphenols as therapeutic agents to treat metabolic disorders. Our distinguished speakers are here to share their expertise and insights, and we encourage you to engage actively, ask questions, and make the most of this opportunity. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to a series of stimulating discussions and valuable learning experiences. Let's embark on this journey together and make it an inspiring and memorable event. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. G. Saravanan, Dean, School of Sciences and Humanities, to deliver the welcome address. So, welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Satyababu. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's an honor and privilege to welcome you to day 2 of this online lecture series. Today, we are in the journey of fascinating world of biochemistry and natural product-based therapeutics. We have the distinct pleasure of hearing from an eminent researcher whose contribution to this field are nothing short of exemplary. Professor Dr. Balaji Meriga, a distinguished professor and a researcher, will be sharing his profound insights and groundbreaking research with us. His work has not only advanced our understanding of biochemistry, but has also opened a new avenues for the development of innovative therapeutics. Professor Balaji Meriga's expertise and passion for his work are truly inspiring. His research has made significant strides in harnessing the potential of natural products for therapeutic applications. And today, we are fortunate to gain knowledge from one of the leading minds in the field. I encourage each of you to actively engage during this lecture, ask questions, and immerse yourself in the wealth of knowledge that Professor Balaji Meriga is about to impart. Your participation is what makes this series a dynamic and enriching experience for everyone involved. Thank you for being here and for your commitment to advancing your understanding of these critical topics. Let us now turn our attention to Professor Dr. Balaji Meriga and look forward to an enlightening and stimulating session. Enjoy the lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your welcome address. Now it's time to introduce our resource person, Dr. Balaji Meriga. So, ladies and gentlemen, so good morning. It is a honor and a privilege to welcome you to this highly anticipated online lecture series, Day 2. So, today we have the distinct pleasure of hearing from a distinguished professor and a researcher whose contributions to the field of biochemistry and natural product based therapeutics are nothing short of exemplary. I am delighted to introduce Professor Dr. Balaji Meriga. So, Dr. Balaji Meriga's academic journey began at Sri Venkateswara University in Tirupati, where he completed his master's degree. Driven by a passion for scientific discovery, he pursued a PhD at Usmania University in Hyderabad. His academic prowess is further demonstrated by his successful qualification in several prestigious examinations, including the CSIR NET, GATE, Agricultural Scientist Recruitment Board National Eligibility Test, and AP SET. These accomplishments laid a solid foundation for what would become an illustrious career in biochemistry. Following his doctoral studies, Dr. Balaji Meriga expanded his horizons by undertaking postdoctoral research at the University of Tennessee Health Sciences, United States of America. This international experience enriched his perspective and expertise, contributing significantly to his professional development. In 2007, Dr. Balaji Meriga joined in the Department of Biochemistry at Sri Venkateswara University as an assistant professor. His commitment to advancing the field and fostering academic excellence led him to his current position as a professor in the same department. Dr. Balaji Meriga's research is centered around exploring natural product-based therapeutics with a specific focus on combating obesity and related disorders. His pioneering work in this area has led to population of over 85 research articles in Scopus Index journals, an impressive achievement that underscores his impact in the scientific community. With a remarkable H-index of 31, Dr. Balaji Meriga's research has been cited 3,628 times, reflecting the significant influence and relevance of his work. In addition to his numerous research articles, Dr. Balaji Meriga has authored 4 influential books and contributed to half a dozen book chapters. His scholarly output is a testament to his dedication to advancing knowledge and sharing insights with broader scientific community. Dr. Balaji Meriga has successfully secured research funding from several prestigious national agencies, including Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Biotechnology, Indian Council of Medical Research, the University Grant Commissions, and Department of Atomic Energy, Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences. His ability to attract and manage substantial research findings is a reflection of the high regard in which his work is held. Beyond his research achievements, Dr. Balaji Meriga has been an outstanding mentor to 13 PhD students to obtain their doctoral degrees, several of whom are now making a significant contributions as faculty members and scientists both in India and abroad. He has also guided 32 M-Pharmacy students and has played a crucial role in organizing numerous workshops and conferences, further demonstrating his commitment to education and professional development. Dr. Balaji Meriga's exceptional contributions have not gone unnoticed. He has received several prestigious awards, including the Best Scientist Award in Biomedical Sciences from the ICMR in 2021, the UGC BSR Mid-Career Award in 2021, and the Best Scientist Award from the Council of Science and Technology, Government of Andhra Pradesh in 2020. He was also honored with the Associate Fellow Award from the Andhra Pradesh Academy of Sciences. These accolades highlights his outstanding contributions to science and his dedication to his field. As a life member of several esteemed professional bodies, including the Society for Biological Chemists, the Indian Science Congress Association, the Agricultural Society of Biological Scientists, and the Nutritional Society of India, Dr. Balaji Meriga remains deeply engaged with the scientific community and continues to contribute to the advancement of his field. So today, Professor Dr. Balaji Meriga will share his invaluable insights and expertise on topics related to metabolic disorders, phytomedicine, nutraceuticals, plant-based therapeutics, and lipid research. His extensive research and innovative approaches have had a profound impact on the field, and we are incredibly fortunate to have him with us. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Balaji Meriga. We eagerly anticipate his presentation and the opportunity to gain from his profound knowledge and experience. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being accepting our invitation. We look forward to your presentation, sir. The session is over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Babu. Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, you can start.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, good morning, all the participants, the chairman of K.S.Rangasamy Arts and Science College, Dr. Saravana sir, and Dr. Satyababu, and all the organizers for having made me a part of this series of lecture programs. I am very delighted to be associated with you. So, hope you are able to see my PPT on the screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the topic is, as you can see, polyphenols as therapeutic agents to treat metabolic syndrome disorders. So during the course of my presentation, I'll be briefly talking about what are the metabolic syndrome disorders, and the causes or
Participant,
risk
please
factors
mute
of
your mics.
metabolic syndrome,
Participant, please mute your mics.
and the role of oxidative stress in metabolic syndrome, the therapeutic mechanisms of drugs to treat hypertension, diabetes, obesity, CVD, the role of plant phenols, and cancer. As, yeah, can I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue.
Yeah, is it clear from my side or any disturbance?
No, sir. So, participant, please mute your mic. The session is going to start. So, kindly mute your mics, please.
Yeah. So first we will discuss metabolic syndrome. It's a cluster of conditions or disorders which include hypertension, dyslipidemia, diabetes, obesity, and ultimately leading to cardiovascular diseases. So this group of diseases or this cluster of diseases come under metabolic syndrome. Nowadays, we know and we notice people with high
Sir,
blood
sir,
pressure
excuse me,
or
sir.
diabetes, very
Sir,
common.
excuse me, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, PPT full screen లో ఓపెన్ చేయండి సార్.
yeah, just a minute.
సో పీపీటీ మెయిల్ లో ఓపెన్ చేసినట్టున్నారు సార్, మీరు డౌన్లోడ్ చేసి ప్లే చేయండి సార్.
Okay. One second.
ఎస్ సార్.
Do you see it now?
ఎస్ సార్. సో పుట్ ఇన్ ప్రజెంటేషన్ మోడ్ సార్. F5.
Fine. Okay.
సార్ ప్రజెంటేషన్ మోడ్ లో ఉంటుంది సార్ ఇక్కడ. లేదంటే F5 ప్రెస్ చేయండి సార్.
F5
ఎస్
is for renewal. Yeah.
ఎస్ సార్. నౌ ఫైన్ సార్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సార్.
Can you hear me?
ఎస్ సార్. యూ కెన్ కంటిన్యూ సార్.
Okay.
ఎస్ సార్.
So metabolic syndrome basically includes the diseases like hypertension, diabetes 2, obesity, dyslipidemia, and ultimately leading to cardiovascular diseases. So we know the normal blood pressure and high blood pressure, and we also know about the diabetes and the fasting and postprandial sugar levels. And obesity is a most concerning health issue nowadays. Earlier, it was considered just as an issue of cosmetic, but now it has become a public health issue. And then dyslipidemia, where we see high levels of all the lipid profile except high density lipoprotein HDLC. So if we look at what are the causes for the metabolic syndrome disorders, apart from genetic factors, the major contributing factors for current scenario of metabolic syndrome growing levels is sedentary lifestyle. As we all know, our ancestors and our forefathers and fathers used to have lot of work and everyday life. But now, because of mechanization and advancements in scientific technology and equipment, we are used to, use all the vehicles and not performing any physical activity, literally. So we just sit on the chair and do whatever we like, any profession, most of the professions. So we call it as a sedentary lifestyle. That means not very big movement is involved. And then change in food habits. So if we look at the food habits of our fathers and forefathers, they used to consume all the unprocessed and the native foods, which are whose layers are unremoved or where polishing was not done. Nowadays, processed, preserved, and highly processed foods are consumed, and the role of junk foods and instant foods has also become very frequent. So that is the changed food habits. Then physical activity. So more or less, it sounds like having sedentary lifestyle. So the decreased physical activity is one of the major reasons for disturbance in our physiological activities, which result in the occurrence of metabolic disorders. Changed ambient temperature. This is an interesting thing because nowadays the usage of air conditioners and other cooling things have become growing every day. So we are not exposed to natural environment, and we are subjected to cool environment, which also slows down our metabolic activities. And then consumption of energy dense foods and fast foods. So when compared to previous days, we get all these energy dense foods nowadays very frequently and abundantly. And added to this is the oxidative stress. So during the general metabolic process, so many oxygen free radicals like superoxide, hydroxy radicals, they get released into the system and they damage the cells if they levels cross the threshold level. So up to certain levels, our body has got mechanisms in the form of the antioxidant enzymes, which can take care of the excess levels of these reactive oxygen species. But once these levels cross the threshold level, they cause damaging the all the macromolecules like the proteins, lipids, nucleic acids, etc. Okay. So in brief, oxidative stress is the imbalance between the production of free radicals and the body's ability to neutralize them using antioxidant systems. So these free radicals, as I just now said, they damage proteins, lipids, DNA, etc. So what's the link between oxidative stress and metabolic syndrome? Not only with regard to metabolic syndrome disorders, for most of the diseases that occur in the human body, the contribution of oxidative stress is very significant because once they damage the proteins, lipids, and DNA, they have the influence of damaging each and every signaling mechanism, all the organs, causing all the different ailments. For example, oxidative stress impairs insulin signaling by causing inflammation and modifying the insulin receptors, leading to insulin resistance. And then elevated blood sugar levels are also associated with insulin resistance, we all know well, because these reactive oxygen species, they increase the oxidative stress and disturb the receptors and insulin signaling mechanism. Then adipose tissue and obesity. Adipose tissue was earlier known to perform only the functions of storing the high triglycerides and the reservoir fats, but now it is much considered as a endocrine gland which performs a variety of functions, not only storing the excess energy but also releasing so many cytokines and other molecules and adipokines which have a tremendous role in causing inflammation and disturbing the energy homeostasis of the body. So this dysfunctional adipose tissue also impairs the body's antioxidant defenses, making it harder to neutralize the reactive oxygen species. So these are cause and consequent things. So once you get or you become obese, the ROS system will gradually lose its efficiency. Vice versa. Once the ROS also becomes higher, it will disturb your adipose tissue functions. Okay. Then the role of ROS in hypertension. So endothelium is an important layer in the inner blood lining of the blood vessels. So a healthy vascular endothelium is very important for appropriate functioning of the blood vessels. Once these free radicals damage the endothelial layer of the blood vessels, particularly the blood vessels associated with pumping blood to heart, it leads to so many complications. So the oxidative stress, it actually reduces the availability of nitric oxide, a molecule which plays important role in vasodilation, that is widening of the blood vessels to improve blood supply to the heart and other organs. So disturbing this nitric oxide or the nitrogen molecules by oxidative stress contributes to high blood pressure, so which is another important factor leading to metabolic syndrome. And lipid metabolism and dyslipidemia. Oxidative stress can oxidize the low density lipoproteins, so which we call them as bad cholesterol. Once these LDL become oxidized, they lead to formation of foam cells and plaques, leading to formation of atherosclerosis, that is the hardening and narrowing of arteries. So this oxidized LDL is very dangerous and results in formation of atherosclerotic plaques, narrowing down the blood supply to the heart system. So we need to maintain we need to reduce the oxidized levels of LDL so as to maintain healthy functioning of the heart. Okay. Then we need to improve the HDL. So the uh, oxidative stress adversely affects HDL levels. Therefore, we need to reduce oxidative stress, right? Then inflammation is an important aspect of oxidative stress. So it activates pathways that promote release of the inflammatory cytokines like TNF alpha, interleukins, and they further cause the insulin resistance and endothelial dysfunction, which are also important components of metabolic syndrome. Chronic inflammation is both a cause and a result of oxidative stress, creating a vicious cycle that drives metabolic syndrome progress. So, we have read all the different causes and risk factors for occurrence of metabolic syndrome, and among them all, or most of them, leads to oxidative stress. That's why emphasis is given to the role of oxidative stress and how it disturbs the normal metabolic function and how it causes hypertension, dyslipidemia, or diabetes, or insulin resistance, and ultimately cardiovascular diseases. So we want to deal with the therapies. What are the different therapies available for all the metabolic syndrome disorders like the type 2 diabetes, hypertension, or obesity, or dyslipidemia, or cardiovascular disease? Several drugs are available in the market which are approved by FDA of USA and the European Medical Association, but they are not performing their duties satisfactorily because they have got certain limitations and side effects. Therefore, realizing the natural beneficial effects of the plants and herbs, there is a growing interest among public towards plant and herbal based remedies and therapies. So at this context, we talk about India, which is an abode of several valuable plants and herbs, which offer a variety of phytochemicals and plant products, which can work as pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals to treat several human ailments and other ailments also. So, what are the general mechanisms used by the drugs to target or to reduce hypertension or obesity or diabetes? So, let us look at the different mechanisms which are involved in the causing and mitigating of the hypertension or other ailments. So there is one system called as RAAS system, that means renin-angiotensin aldosterone system. So the important point here is there are two enzymes. One is called the angiotensin 1 and the other one is called angiotensin 2. So If angiotensin 2 is reduced, we can reduce hypertension. So we call some drugs as ACE inhibitors. That means angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. So for example, drugs like lisinopril and enalapril, they block the enzyme that converts angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2, so which is a potent vasoconstrictor, and it reduces the blood pressure. So by targeting AC inhibitors and by developing drugs, we can try to reduce high BP. Then angiotensin 2 receptor blockers. So if angiotensin 2 receptors are blocked, angiotensin 2 will not be able to perform its functions properly. Okay. So drugs like losartan and valsartan block the action of angiotensin 2 by preventing it from binding to its receptor, thereby reducing vasoconstriction and aldosterone release. Then aldosterone antagonists. So any drug which can work as AC inhibitor or angiotensin 2 receptor inhibitor or aldosterone antagonist, they help in reduction of hypertension. And then we have got calcium channel blockers. So there are certain drugs like amlodipine and diltiazem which inhibit calcium entry into vascular smooth muscle cells. So once we prevent them, it leads to relaxation of the blood vessels, causing vasodilation, and it reduces the blood pressure. So another mechanism by which the antihypertensive drugs work is through diuretics. So some of the drugs, they eliminate excess sodium and water in the body, so which decreases blood volume and reduces pressure on arterial walls. So for example, thiazide diuretics and potassium sparing diuretics, they reduce the amount of excess sodium and water and thus help to reduce blood pressure. And then another important mode of reducing high BP is beta blockers. Beta adrenergic receptors there in our cells. So by blocking those beta adrenergic receptors, for example, drugs like metoprolol and atenolol, they reduce heart rate and force of contraction by blocking the effects of adrenaline on the heart. So this reduces the overall workload and pressure on the heart tissue. So by reducing the high blood pressure and by reducing the force on the heart tissue, we'll be able to reduce the malfunctioning of the heart. That means we can improve heart functioning by reducing the high blood pressure. Similarly, there are other group of drugs called alpha blockers. They work on or they target on alpha adrenergic blockers and reduce the high blood pressure. Then there are some drugs called direct vasodilators. They cause vasodilation and reduce blood pressure. They are usually reserved for more resistant cases of hypertension. Then centrally acting agents. Medications such as clonidine and methyl dopa act on the brain central nervous system, thus reducing the sympathetic nervous system activity, which lowers blood pressure by relaxing blood vessels. Then endothelin receptor antagonists. So endothelins are small peptides that cause vasoconstriction. Therefore, endothelin receptor antagonists. Antagonist means which work against. Okay. So such as bosentan, they block the effects of endothelin and leading to vasodilation and lowered blood pressure. Okay. So that's how the endothelin receptor antagonists work against reduce, they work to reduce the blood pressure. And finally, we have got the lifestyle modifications. So dietary changes, dietary approaches to stop hypertension. So the diet, which includes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and low-fat dairy products, and containing lower amount of sodium, will definitely help to reduce high blood pressure. And regular physical activity also improves the high blood pressure and improves cardiac functioning. And the lifestyle modification is one of the best ways to get rid of metabolic syndrome disorders, not only hypertension, obesity, diabetes, stress management, everything. Okay. So maybe a combination of these things. Okay, many patients with hypertension require more than one class of drugs to achieve the optimal blood pressure. So a combination of all the said things and physical activity will definitely help to improve the blood pressure condition of patients suffering from high BP. Okay. So then let's talk another important disease of metabolic syndrome called diabetes. You all know type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. See, in type 1 diabetes, there is no secretion of insulin. So that's a not very predominant case, but type 2 diabetes is a predominant one where insulin secretion is, though insulin is available, the cells will not be able to take the available insulin. We call it because of insulin resistance. We also call it as type 2 diabetes. So this leads to elevated blood sugar levels. Okay. So to deal with type 2 diabetes, several therapeutic drugs are available in the market. So they try to reduce blood glucose levels and they try to improve insulin action and improve pancreatic function. Here are some of the therapeutic mechanisms to treat diabetes. So insulin therapy, it's basically of two types, rapid acting and long acting. So directly reduces blood glucose levels by promoting glucose uptake into cells, particularly in muscles and adipose tissue, and inhibiting hepatic glucose production. So the subjects with high levels of blood glucose, they take insulin injections. You all know that. And those who can manage with tablets, they take tablets. Then the other type of diabetic therapy is using biguanidines or the metformin, a popular drug. So metformin lowers blood glucose primarily by decreasing hepatic glucose production and increasing insulin sensitivity in the peripheral tissues. So in simple terms, the metformin drugs, it reduces glucose absorption in the gut and enhances glucose uptake by muscles, thus improving insulin sensitivity, right? Then glucagon-like peptide 1 receptor agonist. This is another important target. So glucagon-like peptide 1 GLP-1 receptor agonists mimic the incretin hormone GLP-1, which is involved in glucose homeostasis. You all know the effects of or the functions of insulin and glucagon are opposite. So one decreases the glucose and other one increases the glucose. So agonists of GLP-1 receptor, they work opposite to GLP receptor. Okay. So these drugs enhance insulin secretion from the pancreas in response to meals. So they suppress glucagon secretion because they are blocking the glucagon receptors. So they suppress the glucagon secretion, which usually rises after the meal. Okay. So they slow gastric emptying and they promote fullness of the stomach and leading to weight loss also. Then another target mechanism is DPP-4 inhibitors. So these DPP-4 inhibitors prevent breakdown of incretin hormones and they prolong their action and enhancing insulin secretion. So by preventing DPP-4 from inactivating incretins, they help to control blood glucose levels, especially postprandial glucose. Then another important enzyme is glucosidase, alpha glucosidase and alpha amylase. So by developing inhibitors of these glucosidase, we can slow down the digestion of the carbohydrates in our food. So the digestion and absorption are slows down. Okay. So by delaying the absorption of carbohydrates, these alpha glucosidase inhibitors, they prevent postprandial glucose rise. Then at kidney level, there is sodium glucose transporter 2 system. So which actually helps in reabsorption of certain glucose into the blood. So when the blood itself has high amount of glucose, then it will increase the glucose level. So by using inhibitors of SGLT inhibitors, okay, so we'll be able to promote glucose excretion in the urine, thereby lowering blood glucose levels. They also have beneficial effects on blood pressure and weight. Then another group of drugs which deal with managing diabetes is sulfonylureas. So these drugs stimulate the pancreas to release more insulin by closing potassium channels in pancreatic beta cells. So the resulting depolarization, the sodium and potassium play important role in polarization and repolarization of the cell membrane. Okay. So the depolarization by blocking the potassium channels leads to calcium influx and insulin secretion, and this helps to lower blood glucose levels. And another group of drugs are thiazolidiones, these are these. So the examples are pioglitazone and other drugs. They activate PPR gamma receptor in fat cells and improve insulin sensitivity in adipose tissue, muscle, and liver. That's how they improve the glucose status. Okay. So they improve the glucose uptake and reduce the blood glucose level. Then there are certain analogs like amylin analogs. Amylin is a hormone co-secreted with insulin by pancreatic beta cells. So if we can develop analogs of amylin, such as pramlintide and other things, they can mimic the effects of natural amylin, and these drugs reduce postprandial glucose by slowing gastric emptying and inhibiting glucagon secretion and promoting fullness of stomach. And then finally, we have got the lifestyle modifications. So diet, exercise, and weight loss are foundational in managing type 2 diabetes. Okay. Then in recent times, gene therapy or stem cell therapy has got prominence. So gene therapy involves altering or replacing defective genes responsible for diabetes, while stem cell therapy focuses on regenerating the pancreatic beta cells. So by regenerating the diseased or the non-functional pancreatic beta cells, we will be able to produce increased levels of insulin to take care of the blood glucose levels. So after having dealt with the hypertension and diabetes, then third one is the obesity. And in fact, it plays a central role in developing metabolic syndrome disorders. Once a person becomes obese, there are more possibilities for him or her to develop obesity, hypertension, and CVDs. So, so many diets have come in recent times, like the ketogenic and help in the weight reduction or weight loss. So, some diets focus on altering macronutrient composition, that is high protein or ketogenic diets, and promote fat loss while maintaining muscle mass.
Hello, sir. Sir, excuse me, sir. Hello, sir. Dear participant, there is a technical issue from the resource person side. Please wait. He will join soon. Dear participant, there is a technical issue from the resource person side. Please wait for 1 minute. He will join back. Thank you. Dear participants, please wait. The resource person will join back. And keep it in mind. So those who have attended all the 5 sessions through online only will get the participation certificate. Once again, I'm repeating. Those who attended all the 5 sessions through online only will get the participation certificate. Others will not get the participation certificates. And those who have completed feedback form and attendance form only will get the participation certificates. Thank you.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, is my PPT visible?
Yes, sir. You can continue, sir.
Okay, yeah. Sorry for the disturbance.
No problem, sir.
Yeah. So with regard to obesity as part of metabolic syndrome, the regular activities like walking, doing exercise play important role in getting rid of obesity, but it's not very easy to follow. So saying is very easy, but practicing it every day is difficult. If we want to walk or do some exercise for 2 or 3 days or a week, we can do. But if we want to do it every day regularly, that becomes a difficult task, and that's the reason why we develop obesity and other disorders. Okay. So with regard to pharmacotherapy, we have got several drugs which play important role in maintaining obesity. So there are different classes of drugs which we can described under heads like the lipase inhibitors or the peptide suppressants are those which inhibit the adipogenesis process and which influence the or inhibit the lipid metabolism. Okay. So coming to pharmacotherapy, there are several medications uh, to take care of obesity and maintain weight loss, but uh, they are not giving suitable, I mean, required results. So, for example, the peptide suppressants they act on central nervous system, and examples are like GLP, glucagon-like peptide receptor agonists. So, these, for example, drugs like semaglutide and liraglutide, they mimic the hormone GLP-1 and which regulates appetite, and in fact, it suppresses the appetite. So, by acting on central nervous system, these drugs try to reduce our appetite or make our stomach full, feel full, so that we will not take food again. And another important popular drug is orlistat, and it is called with different names like Zenical and Ali. For most of the animal experiments, we take this orlistat as a standard anti-obesity drug and compare the efficiency of our test drug uh, with orlistat. We compare with orlistat. Okay. So orlistat is basically a lipase inhibitor. You all know that lipase breaks down the lipids in the foods and make them into finally the fatty acids and the glycerol. So the inhibitors of lipase or the lipase inhibitors, they prevent 30 to 40% of fat being digested or absorbed. So that means they lead to much reduced calorie intake. Okay. Of course, these lipase inhibitors, they cause some side effects like oil stools, etc. Metformin, which generally used for diabetes, it also can help to reduce weight to certain extent. So it improves insulin sensitivity, it lowers blood sugar levels and promotes modest weight loss. Again, there are differences among different cases depending upon the body physiology and functioning. Then hormonal regulation. There are important hormones released by adipose tissue like leptin, ghrelin, adiponectin, visfatin, etc. And they also play important role in maintaining energy homeostasis and becoming obese or reducing obesity. So by targeting these hormones, the several drugs are developed to deal with obesity, but not many drugs are successful in this regard. So leptin sensitization is a process. Actually, in obese conditions, individuals may develop leptin resistance. That means, although there is leptin, uh, uh, because of leptin resistance, the cells will not recognize high leptin levels, and the individual still feels to eat more and more. Okay, so like that, though leptin levels are high, the body becomes not sensitized and they eat more. Okay. Then ghrelin suppression. Ghrelin is an important hormone. By suppressing ghrelin, we can try to reduce obesity. That means intake of calorie can be reduced. Another important method of dealing with obesity, which has gained prominence in recent times, is thermogenic acids. So there are two types of fats called brown fat and white fat. In newborn babies, there will be more of brown adipose tissue. We call it as BAT. And in adults, there is more of white adipose tissue. We call it as VAT. So brown adipose tissue has the characteristic feature of thermogenesis. That means it dissipates heat. So the newborns very fast lose their weight. Okay. But in adults, because of accumulation of more of white adipose tissue. So when we grow up, the brown adipose tissue quantity gradually decreases, and when we eat more and more, we get more of white adipose tissue. So white adipose tissue do not have the activity of releasing heat. That means it is not thermogenic. So the recent mechanism is how to make white adipose tissue behave like a brown adipose tissue. So if we can make white adipose tissue behave like or mimic like brown adipose tissue, will be able to produce heat so that the weight can be reduced. So the important point for thermogenesis is uncoupling proteins, which are present in mitochondrial membrane. So in brown adipose tissue, there will be more of mitochondria and more expression of high expression of uncoupling proteins UCP1 and UCP2, which are in mitochondrial membrane. So instead of forming ATP, these uncoupling proteins break the electron transport chain in mitochondria, and they help to release heat instead of producing ATP. So this is one of the interesting mechanisms gained importance in recent times. That is making white behave like brown adipose tissue. Then another important thing is microbiome modulation. So gut microbiota. So recent research studies have highlighted the role of gut microbiota in regulating not only obesity, all human ailments. So the metabolism of gut microbiota actually plays important role in producing certain products and byproducts like short chain fatty acids and other things, which play important role in causing obesity or reducing obesity. Okay. So that's about the mechanisms to control obesity. Then coming into another important and the final one of metabolic syndrome is cardiovascular diseases. So all these ailments finally lead to CVDs. So cardiovascular diseases means these are the diseases related to cardiac and vascular system. Vascular means blood vessels. So we all know that the high lipid contents and the high lipid profile and oxidized LDL, they cause atherosclerotic plaques in the blood vessels, and they cause other heart arrhythmias and other cardiac complications. So if we can take some drugs which can lower lipids in the blood, so we can improve heart functioning. So high levels of low density lipoproteins, LDL cholesterol, are the major risk factor for CVDs, more particularly for atherosclerosis. So the drugs generally prescribed to against cardiovascular diseases are statins. So drugs like atorvastatin, simvastatin, and rosuvastatin. So what they do is they inhibit the important rate limiting enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase, the enzyme responsible for cholesterol synthesis in the liver. So the lower level of LDL cholesterol stabilizes atherosclerotic plaques and reduces the risk of heart attacks and heart strokes. And there are certain inhibitors like PCSK9 inhibitor. So by developing these inhibitors, we'll be able to get rid of or control the LDL levels, and thereby atherosclerosis can be prevented or reduced. Okay. So ezetimibe and bemetamab acid are two important drugs which reduces cholesterol absorption in the small intestine. Then another important drug to deal with CVDs is antihypertensive drugs. So we also mentioned in the beginning of our talk that inhibitors of ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme, and AC2 inhibitors directly can reduce the high blood pressure on heart tissue, and thereby it helps to normal functioning and healthy functioning of the heart. Then there are beta blockers and there are calcium channel blockers, they are diuretics, which also work on reducing hypertension. They also work here to protect the heart from being disrupted. Okay. And another important thing is endothelial tissue. So the heart and vessels, the healthy endothelium is very important for correct functioning of the heart. And if the endothelium gets disturbed, we can see the development of atherosclerotic plaques and narrowing down of blood vessels, which results in heart problems and stroke. Then antiplatelet and anticoagulant therapies. So blood clots are a major contributor to heart attacks and strokes. Reducing platelet aggregation and preventing clot formation are critical in the treatment and prevention of cardiovascular diseases. So the commonly used drugs are aspirin and ecosprin. So low levels of aspirin inhibits platelet aggregation by inhibiting cyclooxygenase 1 and reducing the risk of blood clots in individuals with coronary artery disease. Okay. So there are other inhibitors like P2Y12 inhibitors, and the examples are clopidogrel and ticagrelor. So these drugs inhibit P2Y12 receptor on platelets and prevents clot formation. Okay. And then anticoagulants, drugs like warfarin, they directly work as anticoagulants, and then anti-anginal therapies. Angina means chest pain. So it occurs due to reduced blood flow to the heart tissue and heart muscle, generally because of atherosclerosis and narrowing down of heart blood vessels. Okay. So usually nitrates are released in the system, which actually help in vasodilation and proper flow of the blood. So in cardiac patients, the nitroglycerin and other isosorbide and other dinitrate drugs are used to make vasodilation, so which relax blood vessels and improve coronary blood flow and reduce chest pain. And another drug, ranolazine, reduces myocardial oxygen demand by inhibiting late sodium currents in cardiac cells, thereby improving blood flow in patients with chronic angina. Calcium channel blockers also help to improve the heart supply to the heart tissue and helps in healthy heart. Okay. So, like as I told you earlier, there are diuretics and AC inhibitors and ARBs and beta blockers and mineralocorticoids, receptor antagonists and SGLT inhibitors, inotropic agents. All these things, depending upon the condition of the patients, the clinicians describe particular drugs, whether to use AC inhibitors or beta blockers or SGLT inhibitors like that. So all these things try to improve blood flow to the heart tissue. So they work as vasodilators and try to reduce blood pressure. So this is the story of how different drugs work to treat the metabolic syndrome disorders. So mainly the CVDs and the obesity, dyslipidemia, diabetes, and hypertension. Now let us look into the second aspect of our topic, that is the polyphenols. So plant polyphenols, we want to make use of these polyphenols as therapeutic molecules instead of the synthetic molecules because of their more efficiency and less side effects. Okay. So polyphenols are a group of plant compounds which usually are rich in antioxidant activity and have other several health benefits. So actually they are released in plants, they are secondary metabolites released in plants to protect them from the harsh and hostile environment, okay, to the plant. But they are also helpful for humans in their maintaining good health, okay. So polyphenols are categorized into four main types, okay, flavonoids, lignans, stilbenes, and other coumarins, those things. They will come in the next slide. So flavonoids are again divided into subtypes like flavonols, flavones, flavonones, flavonols, anthocyanins, isoflavones, like that. So flavonoids are the major group, and within them there are so many subgroups just now as I mentioned. And the important ones are the quercetin and camphorol, luteolin and apigenin, hesperidin and naringenin, catechins and epicatechins, cyanidin and malodin, and isoflavones like genistein and other phytochemicals. Okay. So this is the schematic representation of different classes of polyphenols. So polyphenols are basically divided into five types. One is the phenolic acid, stilbenes, flavonoids, lignans, and curcuminoids. Flavonoids again divided into so many subtypes, which I have just now shown in my previous slide. And phenolic acids are again into several types like the salicylic acid, vanillic acid, protocatechoric acid, gallic acid, epigallocalic acid, caffeic acid, ferulic acid, like that. So many phenolic acids are there, and they are rich in many Indian spices. Okay. So basically, the polyphenols have the benzene-like ring structure with hydroxy and carboxy side chains. They are the functional groups. You can see the typical polyphenol structure. So you have got the aromatic benzene ring structures, and you have got side chains like OH groups. So because of the presence of these OH groups and this structure, they are able to work as potent antioxidants. So if they can reduce oxidative stress, they can be used against several ailments. Okay. So phenolic acids, as I was telling you, the gallic acid found in berries and tea, cinnamic acid, they are found in caffeic, ferulic acid, caffeic acid found in coffee and whole grains like that. And the lignans, they are found in all the whole grains and vegetables. They are rich in antioxidant and estrogenic effects, and they support hormonal balance and heart health. So there are several examples. And then still beans. So the most well-known still bean is resveratrol, a popular phytomedicine used for many diseases. So it is found in red wine, grapes, and peanuts, and it is used as a potential antioxidant and cardiovascular protecting agent. So these types of polyphenols offer various health benefits, including reducing inflammation, supporting heart good health, and providing antioxidant protection against free radical damage. So they have antioxidant activity, anti-inflammatory, and they improve the gut microbiota, and they maintain blood sugar levels and hypertension and heart health. Okay. So the phytochemicals, they work. So in my previous discussion, we discussed different mechanisms, how the diabetes or hypertension or obesity or dyslipidemia or CVDs occur. So we want to make use of these polyphenols to address our issues of metabolic syndrome. Okay, so let's try to see how this will help. So central obesity or abdominal fat, we we all know how the obesity occurs and its classification also, type 1 obesity, type 2 obesity, like that. Okay. So, and obesity leads to insulin resistance. So when the body cells don't respond properly to insulin, and we get the hyperinsulinemia and type 2 diabetes. And it also results in high blood pressure and dyslipidemia and all these things. Okay. So let us try to concentrate on the phytochemicals or the polyphenols. Plants are rich in several phytochemicals like alkaloids, terpenoids, saponides, saponins, glucosides, etc., etc. But to limit our discussion, I have taken up only polyphenols because otherwise the topic becomes so lengthy. Okay. So by adding polyphenols to our diet, here are some case studies. Okay. So polyphenols may help contributing to lower risk of type 2 diabetes. So they help to stimulate the secretion of insulin. Okay. Thereby they can improve blood glucose level. Various studies further link polyphenol rich diets to lower fasting blood sugar levels, higher glucose tolerance, and increased insulin sensitivity. So all important factors in lowering our blood glucose levels and type 2 diabetes. So in one study, people eating the highest amounts of polyphenol-rich foods had up to 57% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes over 2 to 4 years compared with those eating the lowest amount. So if we compare a diet, a normal diet and a polyphenol-rich diet, the chances of not getting type 2 diabetes are almost 60%. Okay. So among polyphenols, research suggests that anthocyanins may offer the most potent anti-diabetic effect. So anthocyanins are colored pigments of the plants, the polyphenols. So they occur in red, purple, and blue foods such as berries, currants, and grapes. So all the fruits which are colored, they are rich in anthocyanins. and the other polyphenols. Okay. So adding polyphenols to our diet may improve health. So experts believe that this is largely due to the antioxidant properties of polyphenols, which help to reduce chronic inflammation, a potent risk factor for heart disease. So these polyphenols reduce inflammation and thus reduce the risk of heart disease and obesity also. Two recent reviews have quoted polyphenol that the supplementation of polyphenols has lowered the blood pressure and LDL cholesterol levels, okay, and improved the HDL level. So another review found that about 45% lower risk of death from heart diseases in those subjects who have taken higher levels of polyphenols. So here is an example like enterolactone levels, which are a marker of lignan intake. So lignans are type of polyphenols typically found in flax seeds and whole grain. So in supermarket we found high demand for flax seeds nowadays and whole grain because they contain lignans which help as important polyphenols to maintain good health. So polyphenols may also reduce the risk of developing blood clots. So excess platelet aggregation can cause blood clots, which can have negative health effects, including deep vein thrombosis, stroke, and pulmonary embolism. So according to some animal studies, polyphenols may help reduce the platelet aggregation process, thereby preventing the formation of blood clots. And then the other important thing is polyphenols have an important role in treating cancer also. Cancer is not part of our metabolic syndrome disorders, but however, because of the high incidence of cancer and the role of polyphenols in treating cancer, I have just made a mention here. Okay. Then polyphenols also promote healthy digestion. So they benefit digestion by promoting the growth of beneficial gut bacteria. You know, there are lacks of gut microbiota in our systems, and some are beneficial and some are harmful. So by maintaining proper balance, we can maintain good health. So there are certain species of bacteria which cause obesity or heart diseases or diabetes, and the lower levels or higher levels of some kinds of bacteria will result in health or ill health. So for example, bifidobacteria is an example. So like that, there are some different species of bacteria. If you compare the gut microbiota composition between a lean person and a obese person, definitely there is a difference in the composition of gut microbiota. In our recent studies also, we have found this wide variation between the high fat diet fed obese and normal diet fed lean mice. Okay. So another thing is green tea polyphenols may fight harmful bacteria, including the Clostridium difficile, E. coli, and Salmonella, as well as improve symptoms of peptide ulcer disease and inflammatory bowel disease. So emerging evidence indicates that polyphenols may help probiotics thrive and survive. That means the polyphenols help the beneficial bacteria to grow and survive successfully. Okay, and they do not favor the growth of the disease causing bacteria in the gut. Okay, so these polyphenols also have the potential to boost our memory. So there are some examples on some plants like ginkgo biloba. They help boost memory in older adults with mild mental impairment in as little as 12 weeks. So a study says that grape juice, which is naturally rich in polyphenol, helped significantly boost memory in older adults with mild mental impairment in just 12 weeks. So other studies also suggest cocoa flavonoids may improve blood flow to the brain and have linked these polyphenols to improved working memory and attention. On the same lines, the polyphenol-rich plant extract of ginkgo biloba also helps to boost memory, learning, and concentration. It is linked with improved brain activity and short-term memory in those with memory loss or dementia. So this is about the different mechanisms to deal with all the metabolic disorders. And finally, we'd like to mention the fruits, vegetables, and the leafy things, nuts, which are rich in polyphenols. So as I was mentioning you, all the berries, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries, they are rich in polyphenols and anthocyanin. Grapes, especially red and purple varieties, and pomegranates, the apples. We can remember the famous quotation that an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Okay. And then cherries, plums, cranberries, and pears. These are some of the fruits. There may be other fruits also, but to mention few, I am mentioning these things. And then vegetables. Spinach is the popular one, and onions, broccoli, kali, artichokes, red cabbage, etc. These are the vegetables. And moringa. Moringa oleifera is an important leafy material which is exported to other countries. So recent studies have highlighted the role of Moringa oleifera leaves, which we call it as drumstick, which has immense potential. So it is equal to 10 or 15 vegetables. So if we can consume moringa powder every day, we can get rid of our obesity, hypertension, and we can control diabetes and TVDs. So moringa oleifera is a miracle tree nowadays got into famous. And then some of the herbs and spices are the turmeric, cloves, oregano, thyme, rosemary, sage, cinnamon, peppermint. So I can tell you one thing, our kitchen is the best traditional medicinal source. All the spices which we use in our cooking and as spicy agents, we do not realize their medicinal value. We just add them for flavor and other things, and while eating, we just keep them aside. Okay, but the best thing is to make these things, these spices every day and to consume them in the required quantities instead of throwing them out of our dish during our dining. Okay. Then seeds, nuts, and legumes. Flax seeds is an important one which has got into attraction nowadays because of its high fiber and lignin content. Walnuts, pecans, almonds, and soybeans. And green tea is rich in all the catechins like epigallocatechin, gallate, and other catechins. And black tea, red wine, coffee, they are also helping the uh, you know, to provide high amounts of polyphenol. And this picture shows the variety of things. And one important thing is you don't see rice in this picture. So mainly in South India, we largely consume rice and rice products like idli, dosa, and other things. And we have become more and more diabetic and hypertensive nowadays. So instead of that, taking these whole grains, all the grains mentioned here. And one more thing, nowadays we have got the habit of peeling off apple and taking the apple. But all the things are rich in peels only. So we should not remove the peels. We have to wash them thoroughly to remove wax and other things and consume them with all the layers, peels and other things. Okay. And in conclusion, I would like to make a point here. India is a big source of, a vast source of so many medicinal plants and herbs with immense medicinal value. We have been using them from ancient times in our traditional and folk medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. Okay. But we do not get the required prominence and importance across the world. So the major setback with these things is many of these plants and herbs they lack adequate research evidences. We have got only superficial studies on many of these plants, which are not sufficient, so they are inadequate. So lack of adequate research evidences and scientific data to get scientific validation and acceptance. So that's the major drawback. Therefore, all the science students, researchers, and academicians should aim to work in the direction of providing scientific data on phytochemicals and plant products. So if this is done, India can become a global leader in providing plant and herbal-based remedies. We can tap the potential demand of international market and to make India flourish. That is, we can work in the direction of Viksit Bharat. If you can remember the share of India in bulk drug market, in synthetic drugs, our share is 50 to 60% in global market. in bulk drug production. But if we consider the share of India in traditional medicine like plant and herbal products, it is less than 1%. Because though we have got immense sources, plant and herbal sources, we do not have adequate research evidences. So my appeal to all the participants is to try to work, as I also quoted here, all the science students, researchers, and academicians should aim to work in the direction of providing scientific data and research evidences on plant products. Now we discussed only polyphenols, but there are so many other things in plants. If polyphenols alone are doing this much benefit to treat diseases, if other things like alkaloids, terpenoids, glycosides, saponins, and other things, if all are present in plants, so if we can do proper systematic research, we'll be able to provide scientific data, and we can lead the international market, which has got great demand for plant and herbal products because of the richness in phytochemicals with minimum or no side effects. So with this, I conclude my presentation, and I thank very much all the participants for their patient listening. And I thank the chairman of K.S.Rangasamy College and Dr. Saravanan sir and Dr. Babu and other organizers for having provided me this opportunity to present and to talk before you through online mode. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you for your valuable information. Dear participants, now the session is open for questions. If you have any questions, you can raise.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Sir, yeah, sir, myself, Dr. S. Padusarasi, Department of Biochemistry, KSRCAS.
Okay.
Sir, I had a question, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you give suggestions for natural polyphenol appetite suppressants? Because appetite, it creates more problem in diabetes, obesity. So can you give any suggestions if there is any natural compounds that is having that can act as an appetite suppressant?
Appetite suppressants.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, if we take fiber-rich foods, um, we feel stomach fullness. All the leguminous foods and other the nuts and these things, they make us feel full and sumptuous, and in fact they decrease our appetite also. I think they are mentioned somewhere here in the slide. Let me check. Yeah, all the fiber-rich foods, they generally suppress our appetite.
Yes, sir. Sir, is anthocyanin having any effect, sir?
Pardon? Can you speak a little louder?
Sir, anthocyanin. Can anthocyanin have
Anthocyanins, yeah.
any
Yeah,
yeah,
anthocyanins, all the colored fruits and berries and these things. Yeah, they may also have some appetite suppressants. I'm not sure which phytochemical is particularly responsible, but they are rich in, all the fiber and lignans. So they will also do the job of appetite suppression.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the participants? Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask. If you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can go forward.
Sir, one more question. Can I ask, sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, what is the major cause for predominant type 2 diabetes? Nowadays, type 2 diabetes is predominant. What is the major cause, sir?
Major?
Major cause for type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, the thing is, we are eating polished rice, so which immediately shoot up the blood glucose levels. Earlier, our ancestors used to take the raw rice, which have so many layers, the unpolished rice. So it takes a lot of time to get digestion and absorb and enter into our blood. Now, because of using polished, highly polished, and double polished and processed foods, the blood glucose level is immediately rising, causing type 2 diabetes. And the other thing is insulin resistance. So if a person is obese, he or she gets a inflammatory condition and insulin resistance. Though insulin is there, the receptors will not work. So ultimately, there will be more diabetic condition.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. We are taking energy dense foods. Earlier, we used to take less energy foods. Now, the foods we take are very high in energy. That's also one of the reasons.
Like high calorie foods.
Yeah, high calorie foods, diets. Yes,
High calorie.
yes, yes, yes. And another thing is our work is less. So earlier we used to take 3 times a day because we were doing a lot of physical work in the field and we were under the sun for so many hours. But now we are not exposed to sun and we are not doing any physical activity. Actually, we should take 1500 per day, 1500 kilocalories or 2000 kilocalories. But we are taking as we were taking earlier. Earlier, we used to take 3000 kilocalories per day. But we were doing so much physical activity. But now physical activity has reduced, but still we are taking 3 times a day. So the modern lifestyle should change to taking food 2 times a day.
So there is a question in chat box. How to control type 2 diabetes?
It's general issue. As I told you, it has got twofold approach. One is the dietary approach, and the other one is physical activity. So by modifying the dietary and the lifestyle, other things, we can control type 2 diabetes. But we have to do it every day. Doing exercise for 1 week and then relaxing for another week will not give the continuous result. So we have to be every day doing the required things.
So any other questions from the participants? I hope no questions from the participants. So thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And now it's time to say thanks. I would like to invite Dr. S. Vadivakrasi, Assistant Professor, Department of Biochemistry, to propose vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. As we conclude day 2, our special online lecture series, I am honored and privileged to stand before you and express our deepest gratitude. Today has been an inspiring and impactful session, and it's been made possible by the collective effort and support of many individuals and groups. First and foremost, our heartfelt thanks go to late Lion Dr. K.S.Rangasamy NJF, the esteemed founder, and Mr. R. Srinivasan, the chairman of KSR Educational Institutions. Your steadfast guidance and unwavering support have been instrumental in bringing this event to fruition. We also extend our appreciation to Mr. Sachin Srinivasan, the Vice Chairman of KSR Educational Institutions, and Mrs. Kavita Srinivasan, Executive Director of KSRCAS, for their invaluable contributions. Our gratitude extends to Dr. V. Padmanabhan, the Principal of KSRCAS. Your support and encouragement have been crucial in fostering a nurturing and progressive environment for this event. We are also thankful to Dr. M. Prasanna Rajesh Kumar, the Vice Principal, and Dr. G. Saravanan, the Dean of School of Sciences and Humanities, for their significant roles in organizing this series. We extend our deepest gratitude to Dr. Balaji Meriga for gracing us with your presence today. Sir, thank you, sir. Your presentation was incredibly informative and your passion for the subject matter was truly contagious. We deeply appreciate the clarity and depth you have brought to our discussion and feel enriched by your knowledge. We also deeply appreciate of Dr. Suresh, the librarian at KSRCAS, for providing the necessary online meeting facility through Microsoft Teams, which have ensured the smooth conduct of this event. Last but not least, a heartfelt thank you to all our attendees, participants, and contributors. Your engagement and presence have made today's session meaningful and impactful. As we look forward to day 3 with renewed enthusiasm and commitment, I extend my sincere gratitude to everyone involved in making today's session a success. Thank you to all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, that's my pleasure.
So thank you so much, sir. So for accepting our invitation and thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Babu. Nice to speaking to you and sharing my thoughts with your participants.
Thank you, sir. So we look
Yeah,
forward to
those
your future presentation, sir.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep in touch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So dear participants, there is a message in chat box. So you can click that link and you can put your attendance and feedback. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir. So dear participant, you can put your attendance through by clicking the link posted in the chat box. And tomorrow's session, day 3, will be started 10:45 a.m. So kindly join by 10:30 a.m. to look forward to your day 3. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now the participants can leave the meeting. Thank you so much.